Dear viewers, welcome to Tell It As It Is TV. We'll be bringing you ancient and modern true life stories with graphic images.
Please note that characters and time environs are fictional.
5 years has passed since Azueruale's tragic death. The kingdom had somewhat moved on, but Princess Adisi still had broken and had remained resolute in her vow. Despite the endless parade of suitors, nobles and princes alike, seeking her hand in marriage, she turned them all away. Refusing to remarry, she had pledged her heart to Azueruale, and even in death, she would not betray him further. Determined to honor her late husband's memory and focus on raising her sons, Isidore and Obulo. Even her father, the king, Ezeoba, had asked her to move him back into the palace with her 2 sons. But Adisi refused the offer. Seeing her brother's face every morning during breakfast would remind her further of the tragic death of her husband due to her betrayal. Princess Adisi is unwavering in her decision, even as her family and friends try to convince her otherwise. This decision becomes a point of frustration for her brother, Prince Ezedike, who sees her refusal as stubborn and detrimental to their family's future. Prince Ezedike approached her one evening as the sun dipped below the horizon. His tone was gentle, but impatience simmered beneath his words. "Adisi," he began, his voice low. "It's been 5 years, and over 50 suitors has come, asking for your hand in marriage. You cannot live like this forever, turning away every suitor who comes to the palace. Azueruale is gone. You have to move forward." Adisi turned her gaze towards the setting sun, her expression as unyielding as ever. "Ezedike, you know why I refuse. I made a vow to myself, to Azueruale. Marrying another would dishonor his memory. I cannot and will not do it." Ezedike frowned, pacing the room. "But the kingdom needs you to move on," he urged. "Our family suffers because of your stubbornness. The people question why you remain a widow when so many great men seek your hand." Adisi's gaze sharpened as she faced her brother. "I am not stubborn," she replied coldly. "I am loyal, and I refuse to be manipulated by men who care nothing for my heart, only my status." Ezedike sighed. "Prince Ikogu from Ebada is a good man, my bosom friend, Adisi. He could offer you peace, protection, perhaps even love in time." "No," Adisi cut him off, her tone final. "I have made my decision." When Prince Ezedike returned home that night, he went straight to his father's chambers. "Father, I am just coming from my sister's place. I tried to make her see reasons, but she's still as stubborn and adamant as ever." "Over what?" the king asked. "What else than her remarrying? Father, my sister can't live the rest of her life in misery. You have to do something." "You leave my daughter alone. I want her happiness." "But father, she is not happy. She has chosen to become an embodiment of embarrassment to this royal household by choosing to remain at that hut of her late husband with her 2 sons, my nephews, living like lepers. You are the king, father. Act like one," he roared. "How dare you raise your voice at your king? I am sorry, father. Now leave my presence at once and leave my daughter alone. This is your last warning. Get out. Ezedike takes a bow and went to his chambers. The following evening, in a dimly lit chamber, Prince Ikogun of Ebada Kingdom paced before Prince Ezedike, his voice dripping with confidence. "She will not refuse me forever," he said with a slight grin. "Women like your sister are strong-willed, but they can be swayed with the right incentives." Prince Ezedike is intrigued by Prince Ikogun's confidence, raised an eyebrow. "And what incentive do you speak of?" he asked. Prince Ikogun smiled, his eyes gleaming. 50 acres of fertile land along Igboanya Road, he said. "It's all yours. If you can convince Princess Adisi to marry me, you have influence over her, Prince Ezedike. And once she is mine, I will reward you handsomely." Ezedike, considering the offer, greed flashing in his eyes as the offer ignites his darker ambition. 50 acres? He mused. That is generous. But she is stubborn, like a stone. How do you expect me to change her mind? Prince Ikogo's smirk widened. "You become king, Ezedike," he said smoothly. "Your father is old and war is on the horizon. If you take the throne, you can command her to marry me. No woman can defy a king." Silence hung between them as Ezedike's mind shone with possibility. The allure of power, land, and wealth was too great to resist. "And if I do this," Ezedike said at last, his voice low, "you swear the land will be mine?" "On my honor as a prince," the man replied with a confident nod. "You will have the land. But there is still a problem. I am single. The kingmakers will never crown a prince to be king without a wife to be his queen. Customs and tradition demands that a prince and his wife will be crowned same day, same time, kneeling side by side before the kingmakers." "That won't be a problem. I am willing to offer you Aduri, my younger sister, a beautiful blossoming princess of Ebada Kingdom, and she is still a virgin." "You are joking." "I am not. You are my friend, and I can do even more gracious thing for you, my friend, and we can achieve greatness together." A dark smile spread across Ezedike's face. "It's a deal then." Amidst personal conflict, the kingdom is embroiled in a land dispute with the neighboring Awara tribe. Tensions rise, and war looms between the Osiabo clan and Awara. The king must lead his warriors to battle to protect their lineage. Prince Ezedike, seeing an opportunity, begins to plot the murder of his father during the war. If he kills the king, he will become the next ruler and force Adisi to marry the prince of Ebada, sealing the deal for his personal gain. As the kingdom forces clash with their enemy, the battlefield was chaotic. The clash of swords, spears, and the shouts of warriors echoing through the trees as the kingdom's forces fought fiercely against the Awara tribe. The heat of the battle provides cover for Prince Ezedike's plan. Amidst the chaos, he spotted his father, the Ezoba, rallying his men at the front lines. "Hold the line," The king shouted, "Push them back for the kingdom." Ezedike moved through the thick of the battle, his eyes locked on his father. His heart pounded with anticipation, knowing that the moment he had waited for had finally arrived. As he approached, he called out, "Father, be careful, there are enemies near." Under the guise of protecting his father, Ezedike commits an unspeakable act. In a swift, calculated move, Ezedike drove the sword into his father's back. The king gasped, stumbling forward in shock, his eyes wide with confusion and pain. Blood poured from his wound as he fell to the ground, his voice barely a whisper. "Ezedike, why?" The king croaked, struggling to understand the betrayal. Leaning down, Ezedike whispered coldly, "Forgive me, father, but the kingdom needs a ruler who is persevered and brave-hearted, not a weakling and chicken-hearted like you. More so, a leader willing to make sacrifices, even if it means sacrificing you." With that, the king's eyes closed and his body went limp. Ezedike stood over his fallen father for a moment, emotionless, before his wiping the blood from his blade and disappearing back into the chaos of the battle. No one had seen his treacherous act, killing the king during the chaos of war. His father's death appears to be the result of the conflict. The kingdom mourns the king's death as he was buried befittingly, believing it to be a casualty of war. Prince Ezedike ascends to the throne, now in a position of absolute power. His ambition appears to be rewarded, and his dark secrets remains hidden. Prince Ezedike, now king, is fulfilled as he has accomplished his mission. Prince Ikowu did fulfill his promise to him. He is now married to Princess Adure of Ebada Kingdom, as both of them has been crowned the king and queen of Osiakpo clan. With his newfound authority, Ezedike begins to exert pressure on his sister. He tries to force her into marriage with Prince Ikowu of Ebada Kingdom, using his power as king to coerce her. Princess Adisi, still mourning Azueruali and deeply committed to her vow of widowhood, resists her brother's attempt to force her into marriage. She becomes more isolated, struggling with her own grief and confusion, while suspicion begins to brew in the palace regarding the circumstances of the king's death. The new king's harsh rule and the mysterious circumstances surrounding the king's death start to sow unrest within the kingdom. Whispered suspicions grow among the people, who begin to question Ezedike's fitness to rule. Adisi starts to suspect her brother's involvement in their father's death. Fueled by her intuition and whispers from the court, she begins to uncover the dark truth about Ezedike's ambition and his role in the murder. 1 year after the king's death, Adisi stood in the royal palace, her suspicion growing, her brother's sudden rise to power, the way he had ascended to the throne so swiftly. It all felt wrong. Summoning her courage, she confronted him in the throne room. "Ezedike," she began, her voice steady but sharp. "Something haunts me. The way father died, and how you quickly got married to Princess Adure, your friend's younger sister whom you barely knew, without even courtship, and you quickly ascend the throne. Above all, Prince Iko gave you 50 acres of land. The word hit Ezedike like a sword on his chest. Where did you hear that? A mixed feeling of guilt and surprise overshadows him. Oh, how long do you plan on keeping it a secret? The walls have ears, my brother. The rumor is almost circulating the whole kingdom. Well, thanks to the gods, they are all rumors, like you said. He breathed down. None of this feels right. I want to know the truth. What really happened at the battlefield? Ezedike, lunging on the throne with an air of authority, met her gaze with feigned innocence. What are you suggesting, Adisi? He asked smoothly. Our father died a warrior's death, fighting for our kingdom. It was the Awaras who killed him, not I. Adisi stepped closer, her eyes searching his face. I do not believe that, she said quietly. I see it in your eyes, Ezedike. There is guilt there. Something you are not telling me. Did you have a hand in our father's death? Ezedike's expression darkened as he rose from the throne. Careful, Adisi, he warned, his voice icy. I am your king now. Such accusations could cost you dearly. Adisi's voice broke with emotions as she stood her ground. I am not afraid of you, Ezedike, she said. You may be king, but I will not let you destroy what little honor remains in this family. I refuse to be part of your schemes. Ezedike smirked, leaning in close. Then you will remain a widow, he hissed. But mark my words, sister, one way or another, you will bend to my will. Princess Adisi leaves the palace in agony as she faces a new dilemma: how to protect her sons and the kingdom from her brother's growing tyranny.
The quest for power can be intoxicating. Find out how Ezedike has autocratic rule affected the kingdom, and if Princess Adisi did succumb to his will, or if she succeeded in reviving the palace's honor. Watch out for part 3. Please subscribe to our channel. Like, comment and share.